Welcome back to Pod Save the Youth. I'm David Seaton. Today we are very excited to bring you our first ever 2024 election focus group conversation, where I'll be talking to some first-time young voters about how they view the 2024 race. This conversation definitely hit home for me, as it takes place in Ipswich, Massachusetts, where I attend high school. In 2020, suburban communities like Ipswich played a key role in giving Joe Biden the presidency. And in the 2022 midterm elections, suburban voters in Ipswich elected a Democratic state representative, defeating an 11-term Republican incumbent by a single vote. It's safe to say that communities like Ipswich across the country once again hold the keys to the White House for both Trump and Biden, as well as candidates for Congress and state assemblies. Some of the comments in this focus group today surprised me, and they go to show that our generation's political opinions can never be boiled down to a single poll. Appealing to our generation is hard, and there's no right way to do it. All I can say is that taking the time to listen to our concerns is always the first step in working to address them. I hope you enjoy today's conversation.
Amazing.
All right, well, thank you everyone for coming to this Ipswich High School focus group about the 2024 election. I'm David Seaton. This is Pod Save the Youth.
Yeah. Oh, we're clapping.
Yeah, so if we can go around and just say our political affiliations, if we're comfortable, and our names, that would be great. We can start with Jimmy.
Do you want me to include like grade or no?
We're all seniors, so we all can vote in the election.
I'm Jimmy, a senior, and I tend to lean more Democrat.
I'm Sophia. I'm a senior, and it depends, but like middle, socially democratic. I'm always Democratic. This is really just, I can't go.
I'm Annabelle. I'm also a senior, and I would consider myself more of like an independent, but like definitely more Democratic swing.
I'm James. I'm an independent.
Yeah.
I'm Toby. I'm a senior. Socially very liberal, and then economically like classically liberal.
Okay. Perfect. For the first question, I'm just going to have you do a raise of hands. Who plans on voting in the 2024 election? Okay, awesome. That's what we want to see.
Yeah.
Trump and Biden are going to be the candidates, right? So
Are they?
how do we feel about that?
I don't think they are.
I really hope not.
It's still there. It's still-
Actually, for Super Tuesday in the primary, I am going to get a Republican ballot just so I can vote Nikki Haley. So
I'm voting
Trump's
Nikki
not
Haley
gonna
too.
vote.
Yes.
I'm also Nikki Haley.
There are 5 Nikki Haley votes right here.
Are you in?
I don't know. I have a Democratic.
I don't want
You
Trump on
should.
the ballot. I'm gonna be so afraid.
I know.
I do not want Trump on the ballot, and I also don't want. I don't want either of them.
Yeah,
They're
I
too
don't
damn old.
either.
No,
No,
too
real.
old.
But then I'm like, if Biden gets elected, then
He's
It's
gonna
better
die
than
in like
Trump.
5
then
minutes.
he could die, and then he will be president.
That's a good way to think about it.
So in reality, there's probably about a 1% chance that someone else is going to be on the ballot besides Trump or Biden. So if it's a match between the two, how do we feel about that?
Bad.
I don't.
Bad.
That feels
Yeah, I'm really upset about it. But
It's not very nice.
This is not nice. Well, I'd probably end up voting Biden
Yeah.
because Trump. I mean,
Do you want someone to die in office or kill everyone else in office?
exactly. I want someone to die. I'd rather someone die in office than kill everybody else.
Because it's still gonna be. Kamala's probably gonna. I don't even know how to say her name. Like
That one,
she's
yeah.
gonna be
She's
running
running
as well
with her,
again. Okay,
so-
so then,
Yeah.
and I
She
love
would
that
be-
there's like a female like still under there, and like Trump there's like nothing. It's just like oh that wait,
Man.
representation.
We're great.
Some ways. Yeah.
It would be nice if the first female president was elected as president rather than just like God put there because the guy in front of her died. I mean,
Yeah.
I also don't know if Kamala would be an especially good person to have as president.
Yeah.
Yeah,
no,
no.
Her rhetoric is also pretty
Exactly.
poor.
But it's like the best of the two evils.
Yeah.
So why are we like mostly sour on Biden and Trump? Is it just like their age?
we've seen this before. We've seen
Yeah.
this movie before.
Yeah.
Saw it
yeah.
before.
I feel like.
Um.
Sorry, no, you go.
Oh.
No.
Oh. Okay.
No.
Okay.
Ladies first.
Oh. Okay.
Not why, but
Chivalry is not
I was
dead.
cutting you off. So.
I don't know. At least in my household, we're very like we openly talk about politics all the time. Like my mom and my brother went to school for political science. But like, just Trump. He is not nice. He's not nice. He is not nice. He's said some. So is Biden. But like Trump, I don't know. Why are you?
Because he did that once. sniffed it.
I didn't sniff too much. Like I sniffed
Biden.
something.
I forget what I was gonna say. Toby, go.
No.
No,
Sure?
no, really.
Oh, really go? Okay.
Yeah.
I think that the reason why most people I know, at least, and me personally, are against Trump is because like, directly said and, like, clearly opposes some, like, clear threat to democracy. I mean, you have, like, Project 2025, right? That's a little worrisome. But then on the other hand, you have Biden, who, aside from being, like, elderly, is, I mean, to the same extent, he, like, has done things which Trump would have been with probably upon, like, strong executive overreach previously. But, like, to the extent, like, I agree with some things, more things, obviously, that Biden has done than Trump.
Yeah.
The Willow Project was my main thing. I know that wasn't fully Biden's, like, something that he, like, individually passed, but just, like, I don't know. I feel like that was just so crazy, and I don't know. I don't even know what other things we could have done instead of that, but it's just because, like, I remember when we were first electing him, like, he was saying, yeah, I'll try and, like, make sure I'm focusing on the climate, but then this happens, and I'm like, yes, I understand economics, but what happened to, like, trying to be, like, more green and, like, trying to move away from this, yet we're just creating more mines for oil.
Yeah, so Biden did pass the Inflation Reduction Act, which is the biggest climate investment in American history. And the greenhouse gases that are offset by that plan are known to be much larger than the greenhouse gases that will be emitted from the Willow Project.
Okay.
What do we think about Biden's agenda so far and his record over the administration?
I think he's made a lot of promises and he hasn't carried through with a lot of them. And that's my biggest issue with him. Is like his agenda on paper looks really good. Like he's focusing on the climate, he's focusing on like student loans and stuff like that. But then like when it comes down to actually doing it, he's not.
Yeah.
No
What
president can really get everything done, though.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, like,
No,
I
know
can't really
that.
blame him entirely for, like, following the off because he has to. A president can only do so much. We put so much
It's
on
like 4
the presidency.
Years, not a lot can happen in 4 years, which is true. But it's like he's promised so much things that just like I don't know.
What are some of the promises that he's broken that you're upset about?
It's just like the whole like he's meant to do a lot more with, like
Well, just like
Keep
Annabelle
going,
was
keep
saying,
going.
the climate thing. He was all
Yeah.
for climate, and then all of a sudden, when there's a choice to be made, he's gonna choose. He chose that
Yeah.
Exactly.
initially, which is like,
Project.
okay, well, me as a voter, like, I put my trust in you to make the decision on behalf of the climate, and then you're choosing the economy, like.
Yes,
Yes.
I saw that and I was like,
Yeah.
oh.
Didn't he just
Well,
delay the signing of a bill that has something? I just saw this. I forget what the bill was called. He like delayed the signing of it to view the climate
Yeah, I think I saw
consequences
that.
of it,
Or something like
which is like good. Like okay, we're actually like following through with something, caring about the climate there, but it's like.
And then I think it's.
No. You
No,
can finish
I
your
don't
thought.
know.
No, finish your thought. No.
Okay, yeah, it'll be quick. I think it's also just like media coverage because like with the Willow Project, especially like when you just said that, like he also did other things that are much better compared to Willow Project. Like I think it's the media too. Like I'm seeing all the bad things and like I don't know. So it might make him look worse than he could actually be, but I'm not sure. That's
How much do you hear about the Biden agenda like on social media versus like traditional?
I know. See, I should like look more. I know. So it's usually just like on like social media-ish, and then that's like what I'm seeing because I scroll on the scroller, so then I just see it.
I
I'm like, oh no.
actively, I have to
But-
look for it.
Yes, and I don't do
forget
that,
my
which is
news
my
on
problem.
social media. I don't know. Me and my parents will sit down and watch, Fox, CNN, and then
Yeah.
switch between them. Go to BBC. Really great.
What's happening in the UK?
Well, no, because
Across the world.
they're like a neutral source on,
Yeah,
on
no,
things covering
that's
the
true.
U.S.
That's true.
But I don't know. I mean, I just take American government. We delete a lot of things in there, but
So who has, just to like raise your hands for a second, like who has heard about the IRA, the Inflation Reduction Act?
like
A little bit.
ish.
Sort of in sustainability or not.
Okay. Yeah.
The part I worry most about the economy, I think, is there's like a increasing housing inequality in like the U.S., especially under Biden. Like the rates have skyrocketed, like by like 30-40% or something. You know, up from like a house, median house being like $300,000 to like $430,000. That like where someone grows up and where they have a house is like the biggest kind of, or a major factor in just the rest of their life's outcome, right? I think that is worrisome.
I'm gonna be living with my parents until I'm 30.
Well, we all are. My take on that largely is the president can only do so much.
Please, to the office.
You can't blame the president for everything. Like
Yeah.
he's one person who has some power. That power largely is to guide the direction of the country, but he can't change it. Your high housing prices are not by his fault necessarily. They're not
It's the
Trump's
people
fault.
underneath him too, like the Supreme Court. Like we need more, or
Well,
like,
not really. It's just
or, I
like
don't, it's just like all the people surrounding.
it's a
him as
free
well.
market. That's the point of it, and so one person can't change it
The
necessarily.
U.S. isn't a classical free market, to be fair. The U.S. is a system like predominated by like major corporations and
Yeah.
like bodies.
I'm just
saying-
And the
saying-
presidency is largely those bodies.
I'm saying the president is not solely to blame, and changing presidents whenever prices go up is not going to save anything because any president is going to have that same issue.
Exactly.
Whether
And
it's
then
Trump
we'll
or
blame
Biden's
the
the
next
same thing.
president and the next president
Yeah.
and the next
So
There's
one
also
no
a rollover
presidents.
effect of like whatever the last administration does continues.
Exactly, and so that's another thing with like Biden is that like he had to cover a lot of things that Trump did and like just like
Yeah.
left him with at the beginning.
True.
So that also didn't give him a chance to cover like again a lot of his agenda,
Oh, yeah.
which again like James.
He had to deal with a freaking war.
Exactly.
Multiple
And,
wars,
Still.
a pandemic.
So you can't blame,
2 wars and pulling out of a third.
Yes, and you can't like blame a president for everything wrong in the country because like he is trying to actively fix a lot of the things and like right like his climate things like
It's just easier to blame.
it's easier to have a scapegoat for things like that, and obviously the president is a common scapegoat for a lot of people. And I think in the upcoming election, Biden is the better option than Trump, considering how many things Trump left him with in like 2020.
So besides the presidency, what other offices in this year do you think are going to be important to vote for?
It's a great question. What other offices are
Yeah.
up?
Yeah.
I don't know.
We've got a Senate seat, we
Oh,
got
we do have a Senate.
multiple members of
Which Senate seat?
the state
Yeah.
legislature, we've got the state
We
Senate,
have
we've
Ed or
got
Lizzie rerunning.
Elizabeth Warren's seat.
And
Massachusetts.
she's getting back up. She's
Oh,
great. She's
Congress.
fine.
Cannot say I've done any research, and I feel like that's
I don't
fairly
know.
common.
She's probably
Do
What
we-
about like our representatives? Like is like or
Kristen
is
Kastner's up, isn't she?
Kristen
Yep, Kristen
Kastner, is
Kastner's
Bruce
up.
Tarr up?
Yes.
I love Kristen.
Bruce Tarr's interesting. He's really interesting.
He's a nice guy.
Because but he's like one of the
Like a
only
plus.
Republican candidates in like
Mm-hmm.
Ipswich.
Yeah.
I mean,
He's a Massachusetts Republican.
Yeah, which is like wild.
It's a little
But he's
different.
like a good Massachusetts Republican.
No, yeah, there are definitely some good, better Republicans. Like not
Yeah.
like
Well, I think now you think Republican, you think like crazy, like
Exactly.
Yeah, it's
extremist, and there are still those moderates like
yeah.
that are.
Some places.
Like we had to do a lot of research on a bunch of the candidates, especially the Republican candidates. I had to do a research project on Ron DeSantis,
Sounds fun.
and
I'm glad he's out.
he's out, but also I think a lot of his views got very much towards the extreme end, especially displayed on the media. Because doing research, like some of his things that like his abortion views, for example, on the media, it's like he hates it. Like, well, but then like you do more research on it, and it's actually not as extreme as you think it is.
The media.
Which was like, I guess for
What do you mean by
research,
that?
like a lot of his views on abortion is like, oh yeah, in like the second trimester or something, then like we should get rid of abortion. He's not inherently against it, which I think is very interesting considering how he's displayed on the media as like he's completely against like God-fearing man and like stuff like that.
I know the Republican plan right now is to ban abortion nationally after
Yeah.
15 weeks.
Yes, that's okay.
How do we feel about the Republican attacks on abortion rights generally,
I think
and Democrats trying
my
to?
view on a lot of things is if you like, I don't know, is if you can't like carry a child, you shouldn't have an opinion on it type of thing. Do you know what I mean?
I do. Yeah.
Yeah. So like I guess it's really unsettling that a lot of these decisions are coming from people who
They have no
they
actual
have
idea.
no idea like what the consequences are, like what I guess like health issues. Like I know people who are close to me who doctors have been like, you need to do this or else like you're risking the lives of your babies, you're risking the lives of yourself. And I've heard a lot of like women be like, if it's either me or the baby, I want it to be the baby that has to come. Like, I don't know. I guess, like, it's a very complicated situation, for sure. But very much, I think, people who cannot carry a child should not be the ones making that decision.
I'll never understand why people are so obsessed with
Dictating people's lives.
it's my
I think, like,
my
no
my
uterus, no.
real.
Well, when you look at it bigger picture too, they take away this right for women. That's going to waterfall into what other rights can we take away?
Exactly.
What other things
If
can be
we give them an
restricted?
inch, they'll take a mile. Like,
Exactly.
If I can.
The overturning of
I'm
Roe
gonna-
v. Wade was insane. And I guess, like, in a way, you kind of saw, like, it was kind of like something coming, but then
Yeah.
in another way, it was just like,
I was shook.
how did that get overturned? Like, okay, we
It's the
saw it
judges
coming.
of the Trump
I know.
administration.
Exactly. So, anyways, I need to stop talking.
Okay, I have like a little point to make on this. I feel like I agree, like I'm like stringently pro-choice, but I do think that playing identity politics is a slippery slope on its own. And I think if we go for the take of everyone, you can only have an opinion on something for like a marginalized group, that seems like it's a really a way to just kind of obscure like a great discussion. I mean, it is the job of like these people, like the representatives, senators, whatever, so on, like legislators to essentially legislate morality is what laws attempt to do. And I think that legislating morality in a sense of like taking away the right to abortion is a big mistake. But then again, it is, I guess, a mistake that the government has made. So
Yeah, and I think to be more specific, I have an issue with people bringing like religion into
Yeah, oh, yeah,
the
same.
discussion of
I agree,
of
yeah.
abortion. Because our country is supposed to be like separation of church and state. And when people are like, well, the Bible says this and that, okay, but we shouldn't be talking about that because
agree.
that's
Not-
a personal
not
view.
important.
And people can have their personal views. I have no problem with religion or anything, but bringing it into like like federal policy, that's something that just shouldn't be happening. And like people can have their opinions on abortion. I guess the term like no uterus, no opinion, that kind of like yeah.
I mean, I see the reason why,
Yeah,
obviously. Yeah,
I
yeah.
didn't like.
Yeah.
That's the extreme.
I think like that's definitely the issue. I think it's just like I don't know how to word what I'm trying to say, but like
I may say something real quick. So, I'm personally Catholic, Topias as well. So, I personally feel pro-choice, but I understand the idea behind the religious groups. Because, like, it might not be important to you necessarily, but it's important to them that their life, their foundation of their faith says that life begins at conception. It is important to them. It's not as important to you, and they're basically voting and choosing their beliefs based on what's important to them, as you are doing for yourself.
I
exactly.
feel like it's slightly different.
It is. I'm just
It's
saying.
very
I'm
different.
trying to basically say where their thoughts are coming from.
But then why does that
Completely
matter?
valid. That's what I'm saying.
But why does it matter to other people? Like that's yes, you're
Like, you don't have an
Why
abortion,
does
but you
it
don't make
matter?
other
Why do
people
you
have an
need to hold on
abortion.
to other
Because
people's-
That's why
the line
pro-choice
the line
is
of thought
important.
is life begins at conception. That's my firm belief. I can't stand idly by while my worldview says that people in the womb are dying.
Yeah.
So their worldview, my constituents as a Catholic, feel that they can't sit idly by while people are being killed. So I understand why I disagree with it personally, but I understand why, and it's not like invalid argument from their point.
Exactly. So I'm pro-choice. I'm raised Catholic, and me personally, would I ever have an abortion? Unless it was like, I like to say, live by the law, don't die by it type of thing. And I think that especially comes with religion. And like, me personally, would I ever have an abortion just like if I don't want a child? No, because that goes against my personal views. But if it has to do with my health, if I'm dying over it, then hell, I'm not dying for that.
Yeah.
That's
No
my
one should.
personal view, my
All
personal
right.
choice.
Just to kind of shift the conversation, let's talk about Republicans' main issue in this election, which is going to be most likely immigration and the southern border. What have we heard about that, and what do we think
I
about
haven't
the
really
crisis there?
heard anything about the southern border, so I don't have a
Interesting.
place to talk about it.
All I know is that it's just
I'd like
it's
to be
so
more
tricky.
educated
It's
on
so tricky. Like I feel like we're talking about it because like I'm not affected by this, so I feel like I don't really have much to say.
Yeah.
But then the only thing, like I'm on both sides. I'm in the middle because I want to help people. Like I love that our country can like help people and take them in. However, I feel like we're getting to a point where like I'm seeing, and like I was talking to my parents about this, like the economics that like in jobs are being like taken up a lot, which like I love how people are getting jobs, but then I feel like I feel like I sound really bad saying this. Like I feel like it's like people in America should be getting, like there's a bunch of people who are like native, like from America, like born here, raised here, like who aren't getting jobs, and other people who are immigrants are getting jobs, which I love that for them, but then I feel like it's creating I just feel bad. And I just feel like we should
Can you explain what the southern border issue is?
Yeah, so a lot of Republicans are trying to say like maybe we should build a wall, or maybe we should shut down the border to make sure that no one is able to come in, or that a limited amount of people are able to come in and immigrate to our country. That's kind of their stance.
Is that it should be limited, and that I think where we're at, we kind of need to look at it and go backwards and realize, how can our country sustain a system that is able to control how many people are coming in, review those applications quickly, and have like an ethical system to let families through, so there aren't broken families, and then there's not the southern countries are not getting hit economically harder than the rest of the country, and it can be solved that way. I just maybe not a straight up wall is the best answer, but at the same time, like just leaving it and trying to do it. I don't know. I think it's not going to go very well the way it is now.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think closing the border completely is not a very accessible thing to do, and building a wall. I mean, it's just like
Seems like a waste of money.
exactly,
Yeah.
and
And
we're already in debt. Our country, so much debt, and we are continuously going into deeper debt. So I think economically, I agree with Jimmy. I think we should have limited, review applications faster and everything, because I think as a country we should be able to help other countries and other people and refugees and such. But I think opening that up to everybody is not a very accessible thing to do.
So let's talk about
needs to get smoothed out.
yeah. Can we talk about the war in Gaza?
Which one?
Oh.
Okay.
Which one?
that one,
Yeah.
What have you heard about that, and do you think that the Biden administration is handling this
Isn't
crisis?
Biden, the Biden administration supporting Israel?
Yeah.
Yes.
It doesn't play.
Israel is our single
Both
closest
Yes.
ally.
Yeah.
Trump
Oh,
and
so
Biden.
it is an ally thing, right?
But
Is
Trump
it-
does as well, though.
Yes, exactly.
So I've heard a lot. I've heard a lot about. Did Biden nuke?
No.
No one has been
Not that I know.
Yes.
Yes, we know.
Yeah.
So the Houthis in Yemen have been attacking merchant ships in the Red Sea
Yep.
for a couple
But
months
he
now.
wasn't authorized to do that, right?
Congress-
That's what I
But he
heard.
doesn't need to.
No, he doesn't
doesn't
necessarily
need to,
need
necessarily.
comment because he's
I'm
not
gonna plunge into
declaring.
World War III.
He's
I'm
not.
scared.
Yeah, I
Probably
saw
not.
that.
The
Like,
conflict
this
is more
Texas going-
complex than just that, though. Because you have the Houthis, you have Hezbollah, you have Iran as a state.
But
Like-
I've heard a lot about I mean, I'm not very educated in a lot of this stuff, which is my bad. I need to be more educated in this stuff. So I feel like I can't really have that much of an opinion on it. However, what I've heard is that a lot of Palestinians are being, innocent Palestinians are being killed by the terrorist group in Gaza. Hamas, yes. And Israel is just shutting them out completely and not providing help.
I think another core issue of the problem is the pro-Palestine position is focused around essentially supporting a state with a terrorist government that co-opts their own nation's aid, and that is a big issue. But I mean, I feel like you can be opposed to Israel's violations of human rights without kind of taking, because there seems to be a general stance of either pro-Palestine, which is an issue I'm mostly neutral on, because I feel like both sides have their own causes.
I feel like it's either you're pro-Palestine or pro-Israel. There's no
And the issue is
That's not the side
pro-Israel.
Exactly.
Yeah, pro-Israel isn't necessarily against the abolition of the Palestinian state, but the issue with the pro-Palestine position is that they're stringently for the removal or essentially genocide of like the nation
Israel.
Yeah. Because I mean, the Palestinian populace is like very for like the war, which is concerning, especially since they're kind of like getting like destroyed, which is unfortunate. Yeah.
Yeah, I think, I don't know, I'm very neutral on this topic until I can like actually.
So making this question kind of broader, who do you think, out of Biden or Trump, who do you think is better able to handle global crises and like international?
I think Biden, because he will, unlike Trump, I feel like Trump would make rash decisions, and I don't know. I feel like Biden is in some ways a little more like peaceful, and that's not the best word, but I feel like he won't like make rash decisions that could really like. He uses his brain a little more than Trump in some ways, I'd say, but I don't know.
I would agree that I think on paper Biden is definitely better, but I worry about what our country looks like with Biden as our commander-in-chief in that position, where Trump, I think our country could be feared. Like there may be a point where it's like, okay, we're not going to mess with that because we don't know what it's going to do. Whereas
Because
Biden,
I don't want to be.
Not this
he may
guy.
be thinking ahead. I don't know.
Honestly,
But I would say Biden.
when Trump was in office, I feel like
He got into
His
a
foreign
tweeting-
policy is a lot stronger.
He got into a
Yes.
tweeting war with Kim Jong-un over who's
What do
nuclear
you
launch
mean
button
by
bigger.
stronger?
He takes a very
powerful defense.
like the American stance is very
direct
forward.
defense.
Like
Whereas
direct.
Biden, he kind of like hides a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
He's
Or
not
it's very
really,
like
it's
more
very
calculating.
Like
it's very suspicious kind of.
Like
Not
Trump-
like suspicious, but Trump is very like open and direct with like
exactly.
everything.
This
that
is
he
what's
did.
going to happen if you do this. Like
Exactly.
don't-
And I appreciated that. And like that I like. Do I like Trump? No. Did I like his foreign policy? Yeah.
to be fair, both of them had poor track records. Like Trump, I believe, at the Doha Forum for the conflict in like just generally, or well, not this was the Doha Forum isn't a conflict. It's just like in general Middle East, so like economic like discussions, and all that. Like he kind of like bombed that, and kind of to some extent contributed to the current conflict. There was a point like before where like the nations of the Middle East were trying to come together and be amicable, and that I think could have helped. But like, and then Trump kind of screwed that up. But like then again, Biden has had failures with his administration. Like for example, we had in Ukraine, he's sort of given like Zelensky free rein to kind of wage what seems to become like a new eternal war. I mean,
Biden?
Yeah, and then he's given like Israel the right to act with impunity essentially in Palestine, and then we see like honestly the split of Afghanistan was something I think is
That was-
it was
that was-
just, but it was poorly executed.
Well, excuse me, that was in the works before
Yeah,
Biden.
yes, it was.
I think one of the reasons
There's
why
only
that
2,500
is because
troops.
Biden is pretty strictly opposed to putting American troops on the ground
Yeah.
to protect like foreign nations. What do we think about that?
I
policy?
think Biden is trying to be like the good big brother on the block, basically.
And it's just backfired.
Well, I think he's trying to be like we're the leading superpower in the world. He wants to try to protect the world order, the way that it is, and international freedoms, but he doesn't like. By doing so, he wants to kind of keep his hands off of things and just kind of be like a general protector and not get involved, which is
Trump, one
good,
thing
'cause
I
that's Vietnam.
appreciated
Everybody
was-
can't be friends.
Exactly, but one thing I appreciate about Trump is that he wasn't afraid to like get his hands dirty.
My only thing is I just don't want to be in a war. Like I'm not fighting a war. So don't put troops down because I'm not going to be.
Don't want to be drafted. I'll pass.
if I'm drafted, I'm going.
See, I'm very like appreciative of that because I can't be drafted in a war.
Lucky you.
Yeah.
Lucky you.
Actually no. For a while I wanted to be in the Air Force. So it was kind of heartbreaking. But
You can
now I'm
enlist.
like at least I
You
can
can
get
still
drafted.
enlist.
You can
Yeah.
enlist.
No, I can't. I can't.
But I'd
get
say
it.
you know what?
Eyesight, mental health.
Yeah.
All right.
That sucks.
We are nearing the end of our conversation, but before we go, I want to talk about Trump a little bit more. What do you think about Trump's criminal prosecutions right now?
I mean, what is it, like 73 charges? Or something?
Yeah.
I thought it was hard that year.
I
I
think
don't think we need somebody like that.
I don't think it's. I mean, I
Oh,
don't
there's
think.
Jack Totten.
This is Jack Totten.
It's Jack Totten.
What's your political affiliation?
I'm like.
He's more conservative than us.
I'm definitely more conservative.
Than us.
Definitely, but not like.
But not like crazy.
Yes. I think that a criminal, when proven guilty, should not have the ability to run for president. But at the same time,
So like if he's convicted.
yes,
you're
if he's
saying.
convicted,
Okay.
and not saying, I mean, 73 allegations got to mean something,
Including sexual assault.
But also at the same time, I feel like there's so many people that are behind Trump that it's very difficult to take him away from being the front runner for the Republican
Because
Party.
people were trying to get him
3,
off the ballot.
2,
It
1.
just
We're
didn't
out of
work.
I have one more question.
Rock the ballot.
It's a raise of hands. Who thinks Biden is on track to win re-election?
Couldn't tell you.
I
Coin flip.
I think if it was a better Democrat,
Yeah,
it
I
would
think
be
whoever gets the
Who
same
knows?
candidate first wins.
All right.
If
Thank
one
you
of the
so much
angel
for joining us
dies,
today.
the other party's gonna win.